Today, we are exposing the 5 Australian service stations that are secretly destroying your engine with water-contaminated fuel and dirty diesel. Right now, with the 2026 fuel crisis driving prices through the roof, millions of Australians are hunting for cheap petrol. But stay with me to the very end, because the $5 you save at the budget pump today could cost you a $15,000 engine rebuild tomorrow. And I will show you the 3 trusted brands that actually clean your engine as you drive. For decades, Australians have believed a dangerous myth about our petrol. We assume that because all fuel arrives on the same ships, it does not matter where you fill up. We think the only difference between the premium stations and the cheap independent servos is the price on the board. But here is the terrifying reality nobody talks about. While the base fuel might start out the same, the journey from the terminal to your car engine is completely different. Major brands invest millions in proprietary cleaning additives, high-tech filtration systems, and rigorous underground tank maintenance. But many independent and budget operators do not. To keep their prices rock bottom, some of these stations neglect their infrastructure, allowing groundwater, rust, and heavy sediment to build up in their underground tanks. Worse, in 2026, the Australian government quietly lowered our diesel fuel standards to cope with the global shortage, meaning the baseline fuel hitting our shores is dirtier than it has been in years. When you pump cheap, contaminated fuel into a modern, high-compression engine, you are not just losing fuel economy, you are actively destroying the fuel injectors and fuel pump. Mechanics across the country are seeing a massive spike in catastrophic engine failures directly linked to budget servos. Let us pull back the curtain on the 5 worst offenders you need to drive straight past. Number 1. Metro Petroleum, the water trap. Metro Petroleum has exploded across Australia by offering some of the cheapest fuel prices on the market. They usually take over old, decommissioned service stations that the major brands have abandoned, and that is exactly where the danger lies. When consumer groups like Choice investigated contaminated fuel complaints, they found a disturbing pattern. Multiple severe complaints were lodged against Metro Petroleum stations by drivers who suffered massive repair bills. One driver reported filling up with diesel, only to have their car break down shortly after. When the mechanic pulled the fuel filter, they found hazy diesel mixed with dirty brown water. So why does this happen? Many drivers and mechanics believe it comes down to tank maintenance. If an operator takes over an old station and does not invest heavily in replacing or sealing the aging underground storage tanks, groundwater can seep in. Furthermore, if they do not do regular water level pace checks, they end up pumping that water straight into your car. On community forums, the warnings are blunt. All Metro Petroleum sites are dodgy. They usually purchase old sites with old tanks. The massive roadside sign promises the cheapest fuel in town. But the reality underneath the concrete is aging infrastructure that risks pumping dirty, brown water directly into your highly sensitive fuel system. And if you think a slightly bigger brand name protects you, number 2 is going to be a massive shock. Number 2, United Petroleum, the sediment spikes. United is a massive independent player in Australia, heavily marketing its E10 and budget diesel. They are everywhere, especially on regional highways. But just like Metro, United Petroleum has found itself at the center of major consumer investigations regarding contaminated fuel. During a massive spike in dirty fuel reports, Choice noted that alongside Metro, United was specifically named in multiple customer complaints involving catastrophic engine damage. Here is where things get genuinely uncomfortable. Modern common rail diesel engines and direct injection petrol cars operate under immense pressure. They require incredibly pure fuel to function. If a service station's turnover is inconsistent, or if they fail to maintain the filters on the bowsers, microscopic sediment and algae can grow in the tanks and be transferred to your car. When your car breaks down a kilometer down the road, these budget stations often get extremely defensive. Victims report that when they present the service station with a mechanic's report proving there were particles or water in the fuel, the station operators often deny responsibility, blaming the driver's fuel tank instead. What does this mean for your wallet? You might save $4 on a tank of E10, but if sediment destroys your fuel injectors, you are looking at a $3,000 repair bill that your insurance likely will not cover. The marketing suggests a proud, budget-friendly Aussie independent. But critics and mechanics warn they are a frequent flyer on the dirty fuel complaint list, where customer service evaporates the moment your engine dies. Because what you are about to hear changes the way you look at regional servos. Number 3. Liberty Oil, the regional roulette. Liberty is a common sight when you are driving through regional Australia or the outer suburbs. They position themselves as the quiet, reliable alternative to the big guys. But out in the regions, fuel turnover is slower, and the risk of contamination skyrockets. Four-wheel drive communities and caravanners frequently post warnings about specific Liberty stations. In one highly circulated warning from Dongara, Western Australia, a driver pleaded with others, "Do not stop for fuel in Liberty Oil. We got contaminated diesel with water in it from pump 13. It caused a massive breakdown. Why is this such a systemic issue?" While Liberty sources its base fuel from major refiners like Shell, the physical station is often run by independent franchisees. If that local operator is not meticulous about checking their tanks after heavy rain or a fuel delivery, the water and sludge sitting at the bottom of the underground tank gets stirred up. If you pump immediately after the tanker has dropped a load, you are sucking that agitated sludge straight into your engine. You are miles from home, towing a caravan, and suddenly your engine light flashes and the car goes into limp mode because the fuel filter is choked with water. The blue and red sign says a friendly stop on your road trip. But the reality for many travelers is a game of Russian roulette with your diesel engine. And if you think the city is safer, wait until you hear about the no-name independents. Number 4. Unbranded no-name independents, the mystery mix. As the fuel crisis worsens, completely unbranded, independent service stations are popping up, offering fuel at bizarrely low prices. They do not have a major corporate logo, they just have a generic fuel sign. This is the most dangerous place you can possibly put the nozzle in your car. When the RACV and VACC investigated a massive wave of thousands of cars breaking down across Melbourne from mystery fuel contamination, they pinpointed the exact source. It was not the big players. The mechanics reported that the catastrophic engine failures were directly linked to fuel bought from small, unbranded fuel outlets. Here is the terrifying truth. Major brands have strict additive packages. They put detergents in the fuel that actively clean your engine. Unbranded independents usually buy the cheapest base fuel available on the wholesale market. It contains 0 proprietary cleaning additives. Over time, running raw, additive-free fuel causes heavy carbon buildup on your engine's intake valves and injectors. You are starving your engine of the chemical protection it was designed to run on, leaving it completely exposed to the dirt and water lurking in their unmonitored tanks. The pricing board promises an unbelievable bargain. The mechanic's invoice reveals a catastrophic fuel system failure caused by mystery, contaminated liquid. And finally, we have to look at the franchise that recently made headlines for ruining cars. Number 5. Poorly managed 7-Eleven franchises, the watering down. 7-Eleven is a massive brand. They actually source their fuel from Mobil, which is generally excellent quality. But 7-Eleven runs on a franchise model, and when a franchisee cuts corners, the results are devastating. Recently, an entire suburb of drivers had their cars completely ruined after filling up at a specific 7-Eleven in Melbourne. Dozens of customers reported that immediately after buying fuel, their cars began shuddering, stalling, and requiring major engine work. The issue was identified as heavily watered-down petrol. While 7-Eleven corporate stepped in to suspend fuel sales at that specific site and offer compensation, the damage was already done. This highlights the ultimate danger. Even if the brand on the sign is famous, if the local owner fails to manage the underground tanks, allows water ingress, or ignores alarms, you are the one left stranded on the side of the highway waiting for a tow truck. Escalation and pattern reveal. Do you see the massive, glaring pattern here? The budget fuel industry in Australia relies on you not understanding how your engine works. They buy older sites with aging, leaky underground tanks. They skip the expensive cleaning additives to keep the price down. They deny responsibility when their watery, sediment-filled fuel destroys your $3,000 fuel pump. And with the Australian government officially lowering the flashpoint standard for diesel in 2026, meaning higher impurities are legally allowed into the country, your engine is more vulnerable right now than it has ever been. So how do you escape this trap and actually protect your car? Now let us talk about the Australian options that are actually worth your time. If you want your car to hit 300,000 kilometers without needing a fuel system rebuild, you must stop shopping purely on price. You need fuel that contains active, proprietary cleaning agents stored in heavily monitored modern tanks. Here are the 3 brands you should be using exclusively. Option 1. BP. Specifically BP Ultimate. Mechanics and car enthusiasts across Australia consistently rank BP as the absolute gold standard. Their premium fuels, especially BP Ultimate, are packed with active cleaning agents designed to blast carbon buildup off your intake valves as you drive. They invest heavily in modernizing their underground tanks and filtration, meaning the risk of water contamination is incredibly low. Option 2. Shell V-Power. Shell is the other heavyweight champion for engine protection. Their V-Power 98-octane fuel is engineered in partnership with Ferrari. It contains friction-modifying additives that actually lubricate the upper cylinder walls while cleaning the fuel injectors. If you drive a modern, direct-injection European or Japanese car, running Shell V-Power is the cheapest insurance policy you can buy against carbon failure. Option 3. Ampol Amplify Premium. Ampol, formerly Caltex Australia, refines much of its own fuel right here in Australia. Their Amplify range of premium petrol and diesel contains specialized detergents designed specifically for harsh, hot Australian driving conditions. They are a massive corporate network, meaning their site maintenance and quality control are far stricter than the budget independents. Final message and call to action. Australian driving culture has become dangerously focused on the price board. We will happily spend $50,000 on a new car, but then we actively try to save $4 by pumping dirty, unbranded, water-contaminated sludge into the engine. You do not have to be a victim of the budget fuel scam. You do not have to accept a massive repair bill just because you wanted to save a few cents a litre. Start viewing fuel as an internal maintenance product, not just a liquid that makes the car go. Stick to the major brands, use premium additives, and always keep your receipt. If this video opened your eyes to the dirty secrets of the budget servos, tap the like button so we can warn more Australian drivers before they destroy their engines. If you want to stay one step ahead of the automotive industry and protect your wallet, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever received a bad batch of fuel from a budget servo? How much did it cost you to fix your car? Let me know your horror stories below.